Hi, I'm going to continue with the phase one. I was thinking more about this first verse, and I didn't want to say too many drinks. So what I said is too much of another drink that contains alcohol. So um, that way it's more vague as to how much. As it was written, it might be like, well, if you have one or two drinks, it's okay. And although I'm not against that idea, I don't want to say it explicitly because alcohol is a controversial issue in the church. So I'd like to leave it vague if possible. Okay, so going on to verse 2, let's look what the display version of the translation note says. A king's anger is like a lion's roar. It terrifies people. Um, so I could say the way we say a lion roars is we actually have a verb that is shout. So I wouldn't expect you to know this, but after you've worked on TBTA for a while, you might know it. If you put roar, probably the phase two person can fix it up. So here there's shout and there's shout C is what animals do when they make a loud noise, like the lion roared, the dog barked. So we could say that. And we could also say a king's anger is like the sound that a lion makes when it roars. I wasn't sure about that, but I looked here. So we have a word for sound. So now I'm in ontology and lexicon, ontology, objects. I'm going to go to S and scroll down. And then I'm going to show you a very useful thing here. You can see examples of the use of this word by doing a right click and then click on edit this concept's collocation correction rule or show all occurrences of concept. I don't know why the first part of that. I just always use this to show all the occurrences. We can see, you can say hear a sound, you can be a sound, become a sound, but here's make a sound. And so if you do a right click on this, you can see how it's used. When the blind person heard the sounds that those people made, he asked them, why are you here? Okay, so this is making sounds. So we could say that. But then we have to add, it terrifies. So that's a little bit difficult because you see in this sentence, it is vague. It can refer to the king's anger terrifies people. We could say causes them to be afraid or maybe terrified. Let's see what we have in our, so this is the how to handle complex concept terms. Let's see if we have something like terrified. Terrified, we express that with extremely afraid, and this is an explication, so there would be a rule that would convert that to terrified. So we could say that his anger causes people to be terrified, but I like the way they say it in the second sentence. We can say it a lot more compactly. People fear an angry king like they fear a roaring lion. Okay, so I'm going to go back here. And now I'm going to type that in here, but I'll pause so you don't have to watch me type it. Okay, this is what I came up with. So I have people are afraid of an angry king. Just like an issue here, I said, talked about using fear, but I found out that that's complex. So you can see fear, to be afraid of something, it has a magenta color here, which indicates that it's complex. So I went to our how-to document to see how that's handled. To fear something is to be afraid of something. So here's our explication, and this could be converted by a complex insertion rule to fear. Okay, but aside from that, it's like I said, I was going to write it. Okay, so let's look at the second part of this person. A person who makes him angry, so we would say who causes him to be angry, loses his own life. The alternate, if you provoke him to anger, you may die as a result. Okay, so we could say a person who causes him to be angry is in might die. That's how we would say may die. As a result, we could say because of his actions. I don't know about this, risk losing his life. So first of all, we probably wouldn't say lose his life. That's kind of an idiom. Risks, if we say might, that has a similar meaning. So I think we'll do it this way. We probably don't have risk something. But if you say he risks, it means it's a possibility that it would happen. So he might die. Okay, so I'm going to type something up. Pause here. Okay, here we have what I wrote. So I put a person who causes that king to become angry. I debated about whether to say that king or a king. I used that king because here in the translation notes display it says who makes him angry. That's a little bit vague, but it almost certainly refers to the king, could refer to the lion. Okay, so who causes that king to become angry might die because of the actions, I'm marking that as implicit, of a person who causes that king to become angry. Now, you might wonder, why didn't I say of that person? Since I've already referred to a person who causes that king to become angry, I could say just that person here. It's because we don't really know the order of the constituents in the target language. So I'm going to write it the same way in both places. But this is likely to be replaced by a pronoun. And that's how I wrote it in the English here. So first of all, I used fear for to be afraid of. People fear an angry king just like they fear a lion that roars. And here I use the fact that shouts is actually converted to roars. If you put shouts, it would be fine. This is something that happens automatically when they do the phase 2. That shout C is expressed in a particular way depending on the noun that is shouting. A person who causes that king to become angry might die because of his actions. Okay, so see, I just wrote this as a pronoun instead of, I didn't write it, because in the English, that's how it would likely be turn out. That this second occurrence of a person who causes that king to become angry would become a pronoun. And I wrote here the complex concept, to fear X is to be afraid of X. So that's Proverbs 20, verse 2. Just want to say something, I'm not sure I said it. So I'm jumping in here with how we do things now with the translation notes display version. But there are a lot of videos in the um, how to do semantic representations analysis that will explain a lot of the simpler things. So in a way, I'm jumping into at a complicated level here, but there are other videos you can watch. I just want you to give you an idea of how we're doing things now before you get into those other videos.